Mr. Mini Painter, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I painted Black Canary, Dinah Lance, from the Batman Gotham City Chronicles game by Monolith. As one of Gotham's most formidable heroes, Black Canary combines agility, combat skill, and her iconic weapon, of course, all of which are reflected in this dynamic miniature. Her sleek costume and flowing hair make her a striking figure on a tabletop. Now I'm going to show you step by step, starting from priming, base color, shading and highlighting, with a focus on making her black and blue costume pop while keeping her skin tones and hair natural and vibrant. I'm also going to show you some subtle details that really bring out her personality. So get your brushes at the ready, it's time to bring the power and presence of Black Canary to your Gotham collection. Now for this miniature it doesn't really matter if you have a bright or a dark undertone. I chose a light gray to start from. Now we're going to start with some skin tones, and for that I'm using Night Questor Flesh. I think it's really a matter of preference to start with Night Questor Flesh or maybe Bugman's Glow or any dark skin tone for these types of skin, but I think it sometimes matters which you choose. And this Night Questor Flesh is, I don't really know how to describe it, but I think it's better suiting for this model. There is some skin showing here and there, the top of her chest, her face, the lower arms, so take your time and pick out any spot you see. The face is showing her smile, her teeth, so try and keep them nice and clear. That will save you some time further on. We're going to be highlighting with Chisel of Flesh in several layers, and when highlighting I kind of outline the larger, the brightest parts, so the top of the arm for example here, and afterwards I'm kind of wet blending some paint towards it to make a transition from the dark to the brightest parts. And the way I do it is that I thin down my paint, just water it down and pull it towards the brightest parts. So first, the actual bright parts, the brightest parts, you start painting them. And second step is you thin down your paint and you work towards the brightest part. And you get a nice transition from dark to bright. Now with a tiny drop of Screamer Pink, I'm painting the inside of her mouth. She is screaming, her famous Black Canary scream, and the inside is showing a little bit, so it's nice to give it some different color. Next, Palette Witch Flesh, with which I'm painting some teeth in there, or at least I'm trying, and I'm painting in the pupils of the eyes. And then a tiny dot of Abaddon Black for the pupil. I'm kind of out of focus here, but you know where the pupil goes, right? Next I'm trying to add some lipstick with Wordbearer's Red. Now with the face all done, we're moving on to the hair, and we're giving it a base coat of Mornfang Brown. We're going for that dark blonde, golden blonde look actually. And the best way to start is with a light brown. Once this is dried, we're moving on to the next stage, which is XV88. Just go over it and cover about 60 to 70% of the hair, leaving some nice dark parts shining through and accentuating most of the hair visible from above. I'll leave some extra shades on the bottom part. Third step, Samazi Desert. Pick out some strands of hair, focusing on the top part, the part that would reflect the most light, and that would naturally be the front of the head and the top of the head. But pick out some of those wavy hairs on the back here as well. Now we want it to be blonde. You can pick out a lot to create that nice golden blonde effect. Next step is adding some eerie yellow to the Zamazi Desert and repeating the process, but this time decreasing the area that you're painting, so focusing on smaller areas. And you can see that golden look starting to come on real nice. One final step remaining, and that's that tiny piece of shine we add to it with Dorn Yellow. Just pick out the very top of the head and try and create a nice transition from the previous colors you painted. And when using a lot of colors to get to a certain effect, you really get that gradient. Now with some Black Legion I'm painting the jacket and also the boots. What I like about these contrast paints is that you get some instant definition already. It's a gradient from real black to a more grayish look, especially with this gray undertone. So you kind of get some highlights and shades instantaneously. Using the same color on the boots and her gloves. Once done, I'm taking Dark Reaper to paint her top. And the same color was also used on her weapon. Carefully pick out this Dark Reaper blue here and not touch the gloves. And she is also wearing a mask, which I painted in the same color. Now, I painted the metal with Lead Belcher. Scaven Blight Dinge I used on the pants. It's a nice gray with a hint of brown in it. You can go for any kind of gray you want, but I thought this was closest to the original. Now we're going to continue on the blues again, the top. And we're going to use some Drakenhof Nightshade as a shade on the upper body. Some non-oil on the metal parts. And then we are continuing with the belt. And for that I'm using Zamazi Desert. I'm gonna give it a golden look but not use any metallic paints. So carefully pick this out. Next we're going to be highlighting this with Flesh Gets Yellow, which is a nice bright light yellow, which is ideal for doing some edge highlighting or source highlighting in this case. Now once this is done, make sure to let that dry, and we're going to give it a wash with Iandan Yellow. It's a warm yellow which leaves some orange shades. We don't want it to be too dark, and that gives it a perfect look. Next up, with some Batman Black, I'm adding some tiny details to the belts, like buttons and such. Then with a mixture of Skavenblight, Dinge and Dawnstone, we're going to be highlighting the pants. I'm making some horizontal moves, so to say. So that way it looks like these pants is kind of stretchy. So I'm painting all these highlighted areas in the same way. Not forgetting the back. And I'm then repeating the process with pure Dawnstone, but in a smaller area. So that way you get a nice transition from the original color to the highlighted colors. Next we're highlighting the blues, and for that I'm using a mixture of Dark Reaper and Sotek Green. If you don't have Sotek Green, just add some whites to your previous color, and you can do the highlight process in the same way. I'm very carefully picking out some of those raised details here. And with the shade in the middle, you get a beautiful transition in blues, looking really vibrant. I'm using the same color on the weapon, after which I'm using pure Sotek Green to repeat the process. Get some nice edge highlights here on those weapon parts. Just focusing on the top areas. And then with some Mechanicus Standard Gray, I'm highlighting the blacks of the coat, the shoes, and the gloves. Just give it an edge highlight here and there and accentuate any folds. Focusing mainly on the top part, as I want to have a dark overall look. Finally the base, Mechanicus Standard Gray, to paint that boring pavement. Let's add some color to it, shall we? To do so, I'm first shading it with some Nuln Oil. Just slap it on quite heavy, straight from the pot. Get it nice and wet. And while it's still wet, we're gonna add a second color. And I'm using some Agrek Earth Shades to just dab some filth in there, as if it were, yeah, some dirty spots here and there. You can kind of blend it with your previous shade. You can even add in some other colors like greens to get some rain effect or something like that, some wet stuff. And lastly, we're dry brushing it with some gray cere to kind of blend it together and give it that nice, fresh, bright look. And that's it for Black Canary, a fine addition to the tabletop Batman Gotham City Chronicles game. I really enjoyed painting her as one of those iconic characters from the Batman legacy. Now, if you like these kind of videos, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and my Patreon page, as I'll be making a lot more content and some are unique on each channel. Please leave a comment below if you like this kind of content. I'd love to hear from you, and consider subscribing to this channel, so I'll be giving you a heads up when new videos are online. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye!